So 10% would come to the city, 10% would go to...
20.
I'm sorry. 20% would come to the city, 20% would go to the convention center that then could be used for homelessness. Is that what you were saying? Could you?
It could be used for an authorized. Well, it could be used for homelessness to the convention center. But the 20% that we give directly to the city has to fit under one of the categories under Chapter 372 of the Local Government Code.
Okay,
that could
it's
be
the
public
20%
safety. That
to
could
the
be
city.
Health and Human Services. That could be affordable housing. That could be whatever category was of interest most to the city. That's an eligible category. We also have to show that that category has some sort of direct relationship to the lodging industry, because every expenditure, every assessment under a tourism district, if we provide $1 million assessment against the Omni Hotel downtown, from the tourism PID, from the fees that they'll charge, we have to show $1 million in value to that hotel from all the programs.
I got that. Thank you. And so that's 40, and then who gets the bulk of the money, the 60%? If 20 goes to the city for programs like homelessness, 20 goes to the convention center to offset the expansion of the convention center, that's 40%. Who gets the other 60%?
Okay. 20% would go to the city as a concession.
We've stipulated 20 to the city and 20 to the convention center, the 60%.
Okay, I'd be glad to answer.
Great.
The remaining 80% goes to programs. And let me, if I can express it this way. 20% goes as a concession. The remaining 80% will go to primarily marketing and to incentives. And of the portion that goes to incentives, usually it's split pretty even. Let me 45% on marketing, 45% on incentives, 5% on research, and 5% on administration.
Did you mean 60%? Because you're saying 80%.
No, I mean what I say. It's 80% would go to these other purposes. Now, of that portion, that 45% on incentives, that incentive would go to, a lot of those incentives would go to the convention center to pay down the cost of meetings. That's where that 20% is generated, which would be the match that equals the 40%.
Okay, so I was interested, I understand about the money that the hotel and lodging TPID entity would concede or give as a concession to the city and to the convention center. I'm curious how the 60% of the revenue...
Okay, thank you. You're curious
which
as how
would go to the TPID entity and how that would be spent.
Okay, how
what
that is
happens
spent.
With that?
The way it's typically spent, we don't have a service plan yet in Austin, but I would anticipate the service plan would follow the same plan we just adopted in Fort Worth, in Dallas, and in Arlington, which, as I said a moment ago, 45% typically is spent on marketing, about that same percentage is spent on incentives, about 5% is spent on administration, 5% is spent on research. So it's almost split evenly, the majority of it between marketing and supplemental marketing. So if you used to spend $5 million on marketing, that would be above what you're already spending on marketing to try to ramp up what you're doing. Same thing on incentives. If you're already spending $5 million on incentives through the CVB, it would ramp up what you're able to spend on incentives for the CVB. That is overseen by a board of directors, just like I said, in Dallas, in Arlington, and now soon to be in Fort Worth that are hoteliers. Part of the reason I think they're so successful is it's a board that everybody has a stake and has great knowledge in what might be most effective. So their ROI is greater than any I've ever seen.
Thanks,
You're
Mr.
welcome,
Joslin.
Councilmember.
I just needed to get the 60%
It's a confusing topic, I understand.
No, I understand it completely. The majority of it would go to the TPID entity for the uses that you've identified.
Yes.
Mayor, thank you.
Thank you.